Welcome, everyone, to episode 44. This is a big one.
Okay.
This one has been
No
in the
pressure.
works. No pressure. No. My good friend, Tiffani Dhooge, President and CEO of Children's Harbor. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
for having
time.
me.
I'm super excited.
I'm doing this petrified. So
No,
okay.
petrified. You have done way harder things than
you know
this.
what? I hear you, but podcasts are scary. Absolutely, because they live on an infinity.
understand.
And for somebody who's wildly inappropriate as myself,
You'll be
it's
okay.
petrifying. It's terrifying.
You'll be okay. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
My name is Tiffani Dhoogi. I'm president and CEO of Children's Harbor and Browns Harbor. And we are a child welfare organization that's exclusively dedicated to serving teenagers in foster care. So everything we do is centered around every decision we make, every program, every choice that we make is centered around helping kids who have been through unspeakable trauma wrap their brain around what has happened to them and figure out a way to move forward.
What's the age range?
12 to 23.
Oh, wow.
I know.
23.
You know what? 23 is still, even though I'm not supposed to call them kids, I for a little short period of time, I called them cadults. Cadults. Not a kid, not an adult, but that was offensive. So
Yeah.
don't do that. They don't like that.
No.
Young adults. So they age out at 18. And what people don't understand is that really does mean that the state says, see ya, call us if you need anything. And they get checked in on once a month. And so my predecessor was very passionate about the fact that they are failing.
They're still too young.
They're too young.
Yeah.
They don't even know. To give you an example of like a month ago, we walked into one of the apartments and it was overwhelming, nasty smell. It's because he didn't know that you can't leave chicken in the refrigerator. He didn't realize he had to freeze chicken. And so it's like these random things that when you're not raised by parents, you don't get exposed to. And so they need a family. They need somebody to ask random questions to. So
Right.
our second campus was secured and developed and designed to provide what I call extended family support. They receive affordable housing, 34 affordable housing
Wow.
units. And we have 24/7 extended family support. And they get financial literacy and job readiness. And it's actually the most fun thing that we do because they're not minor children. They're adults. And so you can be yourself and have real conversations.
That's great. I love that. I've heard of the 18-year-old, aging out process, but that's special that you guys continue it. I would imagine that the success rate with those extra years of investment is a huge jump.
Exponentially higher
I love
success
that.
rate.
I love that. How did you get started in nonprofit? Why nonprofits?
I ask myself that every single day. Why? I am. Thank you for asking. Nobody ever asked that, actually. I was a psychology major, and I wanted to change the world.
And you are.
Yeah, thanks. And I was married at the time. My mother-in-law toured an organization that used to exist in Broward County called Children's Home Society. And I was obsessed with justice, and I thought I wanted to go into criminal justice. I thought I was going to be an FBI profiler, actually. That was my original goal. She's like, you got to tour this place. And there wasn't, you needed an entry-level position. And for me, this was as close. I was obsessed with the concept that you were the gatekeeper, that these people had dedicated their lives to protecting children who had been harmed, and that nothing could ever happen to this kid again as long as I was the gatekeeper. And that was very attractive to me for the initial. And so I started at the bottom. I was literally a transporter. I call it the broom closet. I started in the broom closet, and I was a transporter, and my job was to take kids back and forth to their appointments. And I just worked myself up through the ranks and never left.
What did that look like, though? Like the working through the ranks. I don't know a lot about the nonprofit space.
Oh.
So about the business of the nonprofit space, right? So how is it challenging? Is it
Heart-wrenching?
I know it's heart-wrenching because I can imagine, I have hard days in business because somebody doesn't buy a policy from me. Your hard days.
Why would anybody not buy a policy from Ciara? Let's just take a moment of silence to consider the moronic decision that would be.
But yours is, really, and I know that you don't like to hear it, but I mean, the work that you do is life changing. So
We try.
every day, like, you know, how like that business of you know, the promotions, the growing through, like, is it ran like corporate America, generally nonprofits, or are they?
It's like a whole nother world because
Yeah, I feel like it's talked about it that way, and I don't know enough about it. So
is it different from corporate America? I think the most exhausting part is the hustle, which I think that corporate America might say. We can't diversify our streams of revenue. That's really a challenge. So it's like, if you're a business owner, you have so many more options available to you as far as how to scale and how to, we can't do that. Like, I'm not selling jeans.
right,
I'm not selling shoes or selling policies
Right.
or, so I'm hustling, constantly hustling. The state only pays for about 70% of what it costs to do business. Things that they won't pay for include administrative expenses. And nobody wants to give towards administrative expenses. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about paying for your entire finance department, like your payroll department, or toner in your copy machine. Or, you know, you got to have a human resources department. You have to have somebody to answer the phone, and just regular business. The cost of doing business
and the
is
state
not.
doesn't pay for that.
No.
Oh.
They pay for a room and board, head and a bed.
Interesting.
And then you can only put like 15% of your administrative expenses in your budget that you submit to them. And then if you do not spend all of the money, you get to write a check back, even though they didn't cover all of the expenses associated with taking care of their kids. And then when it comes down to things that really matter to kids, like, can we celebrate their birthday? Can we go out to eat on a Friday night? Can they get popcorn at the movie theater? That is definitely not covered in the state's reimbursement. Like, that's just nothing that entails to the normalcy of childhood is included in your budget. So you're constantly hustling, constantly begging people for, you know, help in those areas. And that is exhausting.
It's tough.
That
It's
is the
tough.
part that's the most exhausting.
Especially when we talked about this a little bit recently. I don't think that the average consumer understands the nonprofit space very well, or how to choose an organization to donate their resources or their time.
And there's so
to.
many.
There's so many to choose from. What should people consider when choosing an organization to donate to?
What do they feel called to? I mean, I'm not one of those nonprofit leaders that's like, only us, we're the only ones doing great things. And maybe that's because my husband also runs a great organization across town. There are a lot of extraordinary organizations in Broward County. Are there a lot of organizations that need to just close their doors and align with someone else? Absolutely. There's a lot of nonprofit organizations that should just collaborate with someone. You don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. But I would start with what are you drawn towards? And I'll use something simple like, you know, do you like animals? Then don't align with a child welfare organization just because it's sexy. I think people align with nonprofit organizations I know people align for different reasons. People come to us and they're very, very forthright about, hey, I want to be on the board of a nonprofit organization. I want to give back to the community and be known as a leader in this respect. People come to us because they actually feel drawn. They have a personal history that involves trauma or neglect, and they're like, I want to give back to a child who's experienced the same thing that I have. People come to us for all different kinds of reasons. I would start with where you're at. What is your personal, just time out. Does anybody else have problems where they're going to put their hands? This is me. The entire interview.
Okay, you can
so
just keep doing that.
I'm going to get it out of my system. Okay. Sorry. Just like, what is happening right now?
I hope
with my
that's
hands?
the clip that we use for
Okay,
social.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm just, what? I could see myself do. Okay, next. Start with where you're at. What is your personal motivation? It is okay to say to yourself, hey, I'm in this part of my career and I need to have some nonprofit board work. No problem. That is absolutely admirable. And you're strategically leading an organization. But then you need to say, what am I drawn towards? Physical fitness, animals, feeding the ducks on 17th Street. You know, what is it that you feel drawn towards? And then start looking at the nonprofits in that space, meet with their leaders, and make sure that not only does the cause align with your personal calling, but that you believe in the leadership. That's huge. Do you believe in the leadership? Do you trust the leadership? Because your personal brand is now affiliated with the leader of that organization. You're putting your stamp of approval on the choices that they are making, and that's your integrity.
What information is available to the public about organizations to make those decisions? Like, I know that because we had Chafin on early on.
Chafin beat me to bunker?
Well, I didn't even know you. He kept us separated. That's what he did. It's his fault.
It's his fault.
It's his fault.
It's always his fault. Put that on social media, Ciara. It's Chafin's fault.
And so I know that, and because I've heard his presentation and things like that. But one of the things that always stood out to me about what you guys do is the transparency of how much goes back to the children.
Yes, 88 cents on the dollar.
Can you talk about that? Like that's high? Is that regular in comparison?
I think it's great. You want to keep it, below 15%. But I also think that the general public,
because that sounds like a lot to me.
It sounds like a lot to go to the kids. Yes, it also means that you're exhausting your team. There is a bias, a very popular TED Talk. I wish I could remember the name of it. That came out about 20 years ago. It was just highlighted by Lisa LaFrance in her event. But it talks about the bias that the general public has about nonprofit organizations, that in reality, people don't really admire or respect nonprofit organizations that run like corporate America. But the truth is, to keep it that lean, to make sure that 88 cents on the dollar goes back to the kids, that means each person's doing 3 jobs. There's no margin. There's no quality of life. You're exhausting yourself. You're exhausting your staff because you're just afraid to hire one more person because that number is affected. So I think what I pride myself in the most is that we traffic in very small, our average donation is between $2,500 and $5,000. If we receive a higher donation, it's because we've applied for a grant or a family foundation. But as far as the general public, the people that we traffic with every day, we're not asking for huge amounts. No one's ever going to come to you from Children's Harbor and say, we need $20,000. Right. But I pride myself in the fact that people come back to us and they say, I love that I know what happens to my gift. $500 is a lot for me. And if I give it to a charity, I want to make sure that I know what it's being used for. So when we accept gifts from the general public, I absolutely prioritize the allocation that it goes to the kids. We are celebrating birthdays with it. We are introducing the concept of childhood back to them. For instance, one of the projects that we're working on right now is what do you want to be when you grow up thing. So it's just like all about a dream project, seeing them. I want to be a nurse. So they get to see themselves as a grown up as a nurse so we're just, it's like we're using it for normal every day.
But the thing is that like the regular public outside of that space that have the luxuries of family, you don't even consider that stuff costs money to do.
It does.
Everything costs money to do.
And when you have 30, it really costs money.
Right.
Christmas pajamas. Like think
regular pajamas.
Yes, well,
But I understand what you're saying. Special events, like milestones that families celebrate.
Halloween costumes. Like we just came out off the heels of the holidays, which is so expensive when you have 30 kids, when you have 30 teenagers. Gingerbread houses.
I mean, back to school too has to be.
Oh my gosh, the back to school. What is this day? I'm dreading it already. Yeah. Back to school shopping with 30 teenagers. You have not lived life.
30.
You have not lived life.
Oh my God, and the teenagers too. That's such a rough age. It's such a rough age for everyone.
And the state gives you $300. I think it's $300. I'm almost positive it's $300. Don't quote me. Someone's going to fact check. It could be, no, I think it's $300. $300 a kid. And that is to cover backpacks, shoes, clothing for the year.
Wow.
For the entire year. That is the state's resources for teenagers, where one pair of shoes is at minimum $130. Minimum.
Easily.
And that's one pair of shoes. Yeah. That's not one pair of shoes and a pair of Crocs so that they have something.
And like
slides.
Right.
Socks are $20.
Gym shorts.
Socks are $20 a package. Absolutely.
I believe you.
So if you've got $300 to pay for all of it, Maybe I'll be generous and say 5. Like, it's between 3 and 5.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
Whatever it is, it's not
yeah, like
enough.
one pair of jeans. And they, my kids are no different than your kids.
Right,
they want
right.
real things.
Right.
They don't want Walmart. They
Listen,
want
my sneakers are from Walmart right now.
I have Amazon shoes on.
But I understand.
But they already feel stupid. They already feel marginalized. They already feel like people look at them and immediately know they're a foster child. Being a teenager is hard enough. Mm-hmm. Being a foster teenager is horrible. And so I hate to say it, but they almost feel legitimized when they wear a Nike shirt. Like it's a real.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Because children that are not in those conditions feel the same way because they don't want to be bullied for not wearing a Nike shirt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back even to our days. Like, and there was no social media back then. But I got one pair of shoes for the year, but like they were Nikes. I was like, I need either a Reebok or a Nike. If I'm gonna get one for the year,
you got one,
one pair of sneakers for the year.
Okay, sneakers,
yeah, for like the new school year.
Do they still call them sneakers?
Probably not.
I think is it Kicks?
Probably not.
Is it still Kicks?
I don't know. But I just told you I didn't have a TV in my room until I was in high school.
We don't have a TV now. TVs are bad news.
So we'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question of where can the public go? Because I think there was a website that you guys were talking about to like check organizations to see their funding, to see like where the money goes.
Well, every organization is required to put their funding, unless you're a church. Churches do not have to disclose how they use their money or how they use their gifts, or faith-based organizations don't have to do that. But private nonprofits and public nonprofits have to publicly disclose their financials. Yeah. It's a 990, so it's published.
Okay.
So you could see all of it. You can look it up. I cannot remember the site.
I don't remember, but
you can easily look up nonprofits annual, and actually every nonprofit should have their most recent audited financial on their website. For us, it's like literally the first tab.
I think that there's such a big I think that that's so important when it comes, especially nowadays, not only because of the oversaturation of nonprofits, right? But just, everything, cost of living, everything is so expensive that like, I feel if my money is going somewhere, I want to know that it's going to make a real impact.
Yes.
So I love that about you guys. I've always loved that. When I heard it the first time, it made an impression on me because not only did I get educated about the space, but then, also about the great work that you guys do. So congratulations on doing such a good job and making a difference in our community, in 30 plus lives. How often can they stay the whole time from that whole age range? Or do you do?
They're not really, by law, they're really only supposed to be in foster care for 12 months. Their parents, when a child's removed, their parents get 12 months to work a case plan of tasks to rectify the situation that brought them into care. And if they can't really make progress on that, or they're not making an effort, the state should be moving forward with termination of parental rights. The complication is that, their parents' rights have been terminated, but there's no foster homes or adoptive homes that want teenagers. And so I say this a lot. If you've heard me speak, you've heard me say, people do not like their own teenagers.
Right.
They definitely do not want to adopt somebody else's teenager that's been through horrible, horrible trauma. And so they end up like just needing a parent.
Right.
So they're not really supposed to be in a group care setting or a foster home setting. They're supposed to have permanency. But reality
doesn't happen, right?
Yeah. So I have kids who've been with me 3-4 years.
Okay.
They'll end up aging out with me simply because of that.
What challenges as president and CEO of a nonprofit would you say are the hardest to navigate?
What challenges are the hardest? People. I don't think that the challenges of being in my chair are any different than the challenges of being in your chair, other than the fact that we do deal with trauma.
Right.
It's the same leadership challenges. It's the same human resources challenges. As I mentioned before, the hustle of having to justify your existence by constantly begging for money is something that most for-profit organizations do not have to deal with.
We don't know what that's like. Yeah.
So the lack of resources, when you walk into a room, people look at you like you're the Mary Kay lady. Oh no, she's going to ask me for money. That's difficult. Certainly, I call that peopling. Me personally, peopling, because I'm an introvert, and this position requires for you to be out there.
Right.
I'm not sure I answered that one well.
No, you did. No, you did, because I think that maybe I'm just ignorant and uneducated when it comes to nonprofits, but I think that also it's in my head, it's like a thing of like people work in nonprofits because it's their passion project, but it's also your livelihood. Mm-hmm. And it's a job, right? But it's harder than just a corporate job that you just like get fulfilled professionally, because it's emotional.
Yes.
What you guys do is emotional. And when you lay your head down at night, you're not just thinking about the business aspect of it. You're thinking about lives.
Yes.
That you're impacting.
Yes. Work-life balance is really, really difficult in nonprofit, because I can't just, you know what? I need balance. I need to have a mental health day. Really?
It's not
because this is somebody's life.
Correct.
So if you fail to do this, you fail to submit it, it impacts real lives. It's just so hard to prioritize work life. Like, I'll give you an example. January hit us hard, and 2025 has been a real jerk. We started January 1st with the worst case scenario for one of our kids, and it rocked our team. I mean, rocked. They're still reeling from it, and it's been almost 30 days. And I haven't even had time to check my social. That's just one thing that we've dealt with. It was like one hit after another for the first couple of weeks. I haven't even been on LinkedIn. Today I went on LinkedIn it's been like, I want to say almost 3.5 weeks. Check the log. Because I come home and I have 30 minutes before I have to go to bed again. Otherwise you're not getting, I just can't function. I'm so stretched. I'm so maxed out from the demands of this month and then, you run it, well, you've got to be on top of LinkedIn or the algorithm's going to forget who you are and you're not going to be put, it's just, you just don't even have time for like minimal things that are for you. I hate, not that LinkedIn is for me. That's how I connect with people because I don't have any margin. So that's just an example.
I think that again, it's super impactful, and it's refreshing to get a little peek behind the curtain, to see what the challenges are and what that feels like. And I think that I think it's important that you talk about it, because I sit on the side that has never been, in that space, and it's hard. I can't even imagine that position of salaries. You're dealing with people's lives on both sides, the business side and then your children's side, right? And then you have your own. And then it's like you go home and it's like, I can't even imagine, like, what does decompressing look like? You're like, oh, what is that?
Oh. I guess it was LinkedIn. I just established that. LinkedIn. Decompression. Yeah, work-life balance is really, really difficult.
Hard. Well, I that's what I'm saying. I can't.
You know what decompression looks like? It's for me this year. The intentional choice was the realization that this position has consumed me at such a high level that I have no personal connections, zero personal connections. Everything I do is about this organization, and there is no margin for anything else. So I intentionally joined the Daily Drip, not to promote Children's Harbor. In fact, I said to her, I don't want to talk about Children's Harbor. Right. I don't want to be that charity in the group. That was the first conversation I had with Nicole. And I said, I need women.
It's a Tiffani thing.
I need connections with women or, people. I don't want to be discriminating. No, but that are authentic, that will show up, that aren't, there's no agenda attached to it, that it's just helping me find my voice as I enter the next season of my life. And that was the intentional self-care that I chose last year. Best thing I ever did. But even showing up for that group in like little ways, like in the chat group or it's hard to find.
It's a lot.
Your time blocking. Okay, I need to answer the WhatsApp group. I need to check in on so-and-so. Like, just having personal connections is a time block on your calendar.
That's weird, isn't it?
Isn't it weird?
It's weird. It is. I think I had Dr. Julie on a
love
couple
her.
months ago. She's so refreshing and she's so smart.
She's joy.
She really is.
Talk
She-
about somebody who doesn't talk about how impressive she is. Like,
I
this woman is
know.
impressive. And
She
she's like,
she downplays herself so much
all the time.
But and we talked about that about how, and I mean the Daily Drip talks about this, right? This hybrid landscape that we're all living in of doing our real lives offline and then showing up online and then doing it's so overwhelming. Yesterday I had a day like that too, where I was just like, I can't even like I cannot communicate with someone else. I don't
No more words.
no, not even typed.
Too many people. Too many peoplings.
Right,
Yes,
right.
I
Like
understand.
even typed, but it was just and I think that's the bad side of this social media thing. It's just so consuming.
ending.
And then you're talking to the same people in 5 different ways.
Yes.
So we got the group chat.
Yes.
Then we got like DMs.
Yes.
And then we got text messages.
You have DMs? All I have are salespeople in my DMs. Like, people
Oh my
actually
God,
DM
no.
you?
No, I've got it.
I
No.
want DMs.
I have people. I'm going to tell you right now, if you send me a message on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and it is selling me something, I will mute you. I will
Oh.
never respond to you and I will mute you.
Well, I don't respond, but I don't mute. I feel
No,
like
but I don't
that's-
want to get the
that's offensive.
notification.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're lucky I don't block them
Oh, okay.
because don't do that to me. I don't.
That's
I'm
all
a human.
I have. All I have. It's a constant stream of sales.
Yeah.
No humans.
It's awful. I hate that approach.
Okay.
I hate that approach. Let's talk about your position
Mm-hmm.
as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about being a woman in the nonprofit space, a woman president and CEO.
I think it's easier to be a woman in the nonprofit space
Okay.
than it is in for-profit, to be honest with you.
Why?
And it's still complicated. It's still complicated.
easy and still hard.
because I can't tell you how many people, when Eric and I walk into a room,
Mhm.
Eric and I thought I said Erica for a minute. People naturally assume that Eric is the CEO and I'm the development person, and they will. I'll tell you, we went to a major event together because there were only 2 tickets. We were gifted these tickets, so we couldn't bring our people, and so we went together. And we sat next to a senior officer of another corporation the entire time. I was introduced, but it was so loud that I don't think he really heard. And so he dedicated all of his attention to Chafin, all of it. And I thought to myself the entire time, I was very amused. This man is courting my fundraising, my chief development officer, because he thinks that he is the one who runs the organization. And I really honestly had no interest because that wasn't why we were there. So I just let it happen. And at the very end, he figured out his error. And the facial expression on this man, I wish I had photographed it. It was the most amazing moment. And it was because he had just assumed that it was the man who was in charge, because how could it possibly be the woman next to him? And it was an amazing moment. But yeah, I mean, you face that. My entire career is littered with what I would call Me Too moments. And it's just kind of a part of being a woman in leadership. And sadly, we don't even talk about it anymore. We don't.
Right.
It's not really something that we spend a whole lot of time talking about. But you're used to being ignored. You're used to being disregarded. You're used to being. It just becomes part of the standard of working your way up. So it's.
What piece of advice would you give to the young woman that's coming into this space, corporate, nonprofit? It doesn't matter because, like you said, it's everywhere, right? Like I go to industry events in my space with Jordan, my husband, and he's not even in insurance, and
Yes.
they think it's him.
Yes.
He doesn't. He's not even in the industry.
I did it. I just did it to Karen Ross. She's partners with Artie Palermo,
Mhm.
equal partners, and the firm gave a gift and took our board out to dinner as like a thank you for their leadership. And I looked at her and said, "Are you sure Artie knows about this place?" And she, "Did you just say that to me out loud?" Like I did it to her. We do it to each other as a young female.
Like
leader.
how does
Yeah.
what is your advice to not be defeated and to like wake up the next day and keep fighting the fight?
Also, don't overcompensate. That was the first thing I thought. Don't overcompensate. Get the chip off your
That's
shoulder.
really good. That's
Do not
really good.
get the chip off your shoulder, because then you're just a bitter feminist. I hate to say that, but
Right.
you're just that bitterness.
No, look, if
what comes in the room before you?
If nobody wants, if it's already challenging for us without that energy,
Don't add the
worse.
energy.
It's only worse.
Don't be that angry, bitter female.
Right.
I'll use the same example, which I wasn't expecting to share. So you're going to get my real time. I wasn't ugly to this man. So when he finally figured it out, inside I was laughing. Outside, you extend that grace. It's an honest mistake. It's an honest mistake.
It is
meet them where they're at. He knew exactly what he did. He had that moment of self-reflection of, at that part, fail. Like you could just see him. There's no reason to capitalize on it and say, yeah, that's right. You just assumed that I wasn't in charge because don't leave the bitterness.
I agree.
He confronted his own bias in that moment. Extend the grace, shake his hand, say, I'd love to have the opportunity to connect with you when we can hear each other. And,
well, because you know what the reality of that situation would be is that he would walk away from that talking about your attitude.
Yeah, he would.
And that's the version that he would tell I met the president.
She's a
CEO.
jerk.
She's this, she's that. And that's exactly
stickers for not cussing just then. Because that was a cussing moment. I could have totally cussed right then. But I chose the word jerk.
Good job.
Yes, I would
but that's
be
exactly
painted.
what would have happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
don't let that energy walk in before. Get the chip off your shoulder. It is a reality. Is it right? No, it's not right. We shouldn't have to deal with that. We should be granted the same respect as our male peers. We're getting there. Don't let that energy walk in the room before you.
I agree.
Get the chip off your shoulder. That would be the first thing that came to my mind. And so you don't have to overcompensate. Don't overcompensate. And then the second thing I thought was just keep going. Just keep showing up. I have sat in the parking lot too. I have sat in my car in the parking lot trying to talk myself out of going into countless events. I have such crippling social anxiety. This is so much easier for me than walking to a room of people that I don't know. It doesn't matter what chair you sit in. That feeling does not go away. I just sit in the parking lot and I think, I would give any amount of money for there to be a crisis at the agency that's legitimate enough for me to leave this event right now before I have to feel that feeling, because it's so paralyzing. It's awful. It's that nausea in your stomach. It's just, so that doesn't go away. Do it anyway. Show up anyway. Quit talking yourself out of the room. You belong there. Just show up and be interested in other people when you feel like that. Ask them questions about themselves. It just takes a few minutes.
Yeah. Can you talk about that? Because I know that you do, not that all of your networking is from that perspective, but the premise of the podcast, right, is just newer in business advice, hear mistakes made from other people so you can avoid them, right? So that concept of you do a lot of networking, right?
A lot of
peopling. What is your best advice for someone that is really bad at it or afraid of it? Besides the show up.
Isn't everybody afraid of it?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm afraid of it, but I think I was bad at it. I wasn't afraid of it, but
Does it make you anxious now?
No, it doesn't make me anxious. You know why?
Podcast.
This. And this has helped me. Can I say that I've written X amount of insurance from this? No. But what I can say is that I can walk into a networking event. If there's somebody there that I know, they introduce me to someone and say, oh my God, she has a podcast. It's like an icebreaker.
Yeah.
So it's gotten easier because I don't have to really
people love it. People love the idea.
And they're like, oh my God, talk, and so it's this has served for multiple purposes of just getting more comfortable, opening opportunities of that aspect. So I think and I'm doing it less, which I love. Because I couldn't go to another breakfast.
This is much better. Because you're getting to know people on a whole new level.
And you're making real connections. You get to highlight other people, right? In your case, you're passionate about your cause. You're passionate about your job. You're passionate about, the progression of women, all of this, right? And then you get to talk about it. We get to share it. Nobody wants to talk about insurance. I don't want to talk about insurance, right? So it's we're not making it about me. I get to highlight other people that are doing amazing things in the community.
Yes.
And I get my time back. I had to make content. I wasn't making enough of it. So
Yes.
doing two things at once. So
Yes.
it's a whole thing. But I didn't even know that it was going to do that for me as far as comfort talking to people and then almost being an introduction for me. So that's helped. But what is your advice?
What was the
On
question
networking.
again? Okay, on networking. I was like, wait a minute.
Sorry, I took over.
I think that no one's thinking about you, number one. Nobody in that room is thinking about you. You're thinking about you.
Right.
You're the only one thinking about you. So like making sure that coming to peace with that, I think is really relevant.
It helps. Yep.
And then my husband, actually, who is the supreme introvert. I mean, he is the original wallflower, will find the corner of the room. And he taught me because he's so good at it. He is so good at it. And I said, how did you make this turn? And he was like, I only ask them questions about them. Because that's what people want to talk about themselves. So that's what he does. He finds one person and he asks them one question about themselves. Tell me what you do. Tell me about your, and he goes, and that starts the ball rolling. And then he just, one question leads to another, but it's all about them. The focus is on them. He goes, very rarely do people ever ask me a question about me. By the end of the conversation, it's like, it's natural. They move on.
But also, don't you not want to be that person that only talks about themselves?
Yeah.
Like when
Everybody loves to talk about themselves.
like I hear that and yeah, conceptually that's the sauce. But I fear that, oh my God, how many times have people done that to me and I've just rambled about myself?
But that's fun. You're one I don't mind listening to.
You know what I mean? Like I don't. Oh my God! Like what if you're the person that got played with that? Like
It's not played. I mean,
know.
you're in the situation. You don't want to look like you're not talking to anybody. You're learning about somebody else.
The most awkward thing is going and being in the
Yes.
corner, not talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it naturally turns into a question that they have for you, great. But
isn't it weird how the people that probably socialized a lot in school are the ones that are really good at that? And like the people, like, were you a social butterfly in school?
I don't think so. I think I've always been really socially awkward.
Really?
I mean, I was, believe it or not, a theater major. But I've always been a one-to-one person over. I don't ever remember feeling comfortable in groups.
In those big groups. I feel like it has to have translated, right? Like the people that are kind of uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to like, the worst part about networking is walking into an established conversation. Like being that third person that walks in because you're
really
just lingering.
try hard. I really try hard with that. So I'm peripherally, if I see somebody kind of like, I'll go, come on in, join the circle, because I
it's
know
tough.
what that feels like.
It's so tough.
Hard.
It's
Yes.
so tough. What about employees? Talk to me about leading a team. Challenges,
Yeah.
advice.
I think I was just in a coaching session with one of our directors, and she's such a passionate advocate. She's probably one of the best advocates I have ever in my entire tenure worked with. She does not need any coaching when it comes to advocacy. She is perfection. But what's kicking her butt is not her job. It's leading her team. And so she was communicating to me that what she was called to when it comes to this particular position was the concept of being the gatekeeper for creating a space. The same motivation that I had. You're the gatekeeper. You cannot change the system for these kids. It is broken in every possible way that a system can be broken. It is broken. But what you can do is change the experience that these specific children are having in this broken system. And that was very appealing to her. It's everything she's ever worked for. And yet nobody tells you when you're climbing that ladder that once you get to that chair, you're going to be dealing with the most ridiculous human resources issues and managing personalities. So instead of doing the work that you love, what you were called to do, you are managing these ridiculous personality conflicts with staff, or she didn't say hi to me, or I didn't like the way, like all these dumb, menial, ridiculous human issues that just drain the life.
Almost worse than the kids.
Yeah. Let me sit here and listen to your issue for 20 minutes. That's not what you came into the field for. So I think that drains people more than anything else, is just the basic leading of, and the larger your team, the more drama there is. It's just drama, just human drama. That's very draining for young leaders, for older, more established leaders, for leaders, just the management of people. You're not doing what you love to do or what you were called to do. You're dealing with all of these ridiculous administrative human resources issues.
And so, like, how do you do it?
You just have to do it. It's part of the territory. That's what leadership is. It's showing up when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're drained. You have to show up anyway. You have to smile and nod your head and coach that person through what you think is nonsense, because that is leadership. It comes with the territory. If you want to have the authority to make change happen, to effectuate change, to make a meaningful impact, to create a space that matters, you have to put up with the crap too. You don't get to just delegate that. You have to pick up that box and lead from the trench too. Even if you are so exhausted you cannot take another step. You don't get to prioritize your work-life balance. That's not leadership. Leadership is showing up anyway.
It's interesting because I'm reading Leaders Eat Last.
Yes,
by Simon
I
Sinek.
love that book.
And I just got to the part where he talks. He's recounting the story of a large CEO and how he got to a conference and like they brought him his coffee and he had the car, the limo picking him up and all of that, catering. And then the catering, and then like he left that position and then he found himself speaking somewhere else and his coffee was in a styrofoam cup that he went to get. And that concept of like the title comes with those privileges, not you the person. Right. So as soon as you're out of that seat, those accommodations, that special treatment, they were never yours.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, that is fascinating when you hear it that way, where he had that realization of like, oh, well, I'm really not that important.
All of the yeses. That's a great question. The thing that surprises me the most about this chair, about this position, is how drunk everyone else is about the title. The very first thing they say is president and CEO. I am the same person that I was when I was chief operating officer, when I was a program director, when I was a team lead, when I was a transporter.
Just more responsibility.
Just more responsibility and more peopling, and less choices for myself and my family. But people get drunk on their title, and I know so many peers that when you're talking to somebody and you hear CEO 20 times in the course of 5 minutes, CEO life. Well, I'm a CEO. It's really hard to be a CEO. Nobody cares. Everyone's drunk on this title. You are not special. You are not. This is just a title. Everybody's a king in their own kingdom. You walk 5 minutes that way, and there's another king. And you are irrelevant. The responsibility of your title and your people, it's a privilege to have your title. It's a privilege. I don't know how else to say that. It's a privilege. It's a responsibility. It's not celebrity. It's rented. It's rented.
Not permanent.
It's
and honestly,
it's not about you.
And if we're gonna be honest, like who wants to die with the CEO on their tombstone? When it's time to go, it's not the most important thing, but
you are going to be erased.
But when you're here, it's like the best badge of honor.
Yeah, this is your chance to make a meaningful impact for your team, for the people that you serve. It's not your chance to build a kingdom and to launch celebrity and to constantly be promoted. You have been given a privilege. It's not for you to strut around like a peacock and talk about all the things that you did. You did nothing by yourself. You can accomplish nothing by yourself. There's an entire tribe of people that have helped you get to where you are. You sit on the shoulders or stand on the shoulders of those people. And then there's an entire tribe of people that are helping you accomplish the things that you are singing about in the community. You will never hear me talk about what Children's Harbor has accomplished as if I did it. No, because I'm not doing it, and I know I'm not doing it. They are doing it, and I get to sing about the things that they are doing in the community. That's a great job, to talk about what they are doing, what they are executing, a vision that no one else has been able to execute with these kids. And I think I have a werewolf type response to self-promotion, and it really, really disgusts me when I see leaders get up and peacock. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to like shoot a BB gun at it and go, I want to start a campaign. Did you know?
Well, no. I'm glad that we're on this because
you're like, now we're cooking with Crisco.
No, no, this has been a great episode because first, Chafin's been the only nonprofit, the only other nonprofit, and we didn't talk about it like this. It was very heavy on Children's Harbor, but
he's so diplomatic.
He's great, and it was a great episode.
You have no idea how much damage control this man has to do.
Because
I'll go out and I'll say whatever I think is what she meant to say.
I can see that. Yeah, that's why you guys are good for each other. But you wrote an article for the Daily Drip.
I did
about the cost of the chair.
Yeah,
can you talk about that?
I think that was my first article.
It was
it was my second one.
I want to say something about you and I think you're the best writer we have.
Oh, that's
at the Daily Drip.
That's a big statement.
Because no. Because we talked about this at the last think tank. Myself, Lauren Klein, Nicole Cumberbatch. We were talking about it, and I think that you are the one that is the most raw with your writing. I think all of us are still, and I said it there. I was like, I'm for sure like, podcasting has taught me 4 things. Like, it's so like tactical and like,
I love that article.
And like, so, yeah, but it's like so cold, disconnected. You are writing about really raw things. And I think that is, it's not, I know that is what creates change for other women that are reading that, right? Where maybe someone is considering taking a promotion specifically with that one article, right? And like hasn't considered the cost of that promotion, right? So thank you, first of all, for being willing to also be that raw while in the seat. Most people will do it after. So I admire that about you.
I got that feedback a lot.
No, but
I got that. Maybe you should have waited.
I don't think so. Well, I mean,
thank you.
I don't think so.
That's a big statement for me because there are so many incredibly impressive women that I have been exposed to from the Daily Drip that I sit in the room and think, I do not belong in this room. I do not belong here. I constantly think that, like, no, I can't. Yeah, it's.
Well, I always say that's what binds us, is that we're just a bunch of women that continue to tell each other that we just tell each other continuously what we don't believe in ourselves, but you wouldn't let me not believe it about myself, but like I wouldn't let you not believe it.
We show it's just each other's strengths. We all are strong in our own.
Correct.
In our own.
And
right,
we're just holding hands, lifting the next one up. That's what it is.
Yeah, thank you. That feedback means a lot to me. I love to write. For that particular article, I wasn't expecting this, so forgive me. It goes back to people being drunk about the title because it's been an enigma for me. I just finished my 7th year at the agency, and it was like a living hell. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This organization because remember, you have not lived until you have led a residential group care facility through a global pandemic with 30 teenagers who don't even believe that COVID is real.
Right.
Bleed me out right now. And major federal legislative change that, was happening at the same time. So it was a lot. And so people are so drunk on this title and the status. And for me, just like what we just talked about, it's not about you. You have a job to do. You have an opportunity to really make meaningful change happen in this world. Stop talking about yourself. But also, as Mark and I, because my husband is also the CEO of a large organization across town. And so we're both very driven, both very, very, very driven. So it never at any point was it not a goal for him to reach his chair. But never at any point was it ever a goal for me. Ever. This was not my aspiration. And so when I was looking back on what the cost of this chair meant, I was thinking about, because I do sit with a lot of women, and not just women, a lot of leaders who secretly say the same thing. Mm-hmm. I just want to have coffee with a friend.
But that's why it was so refreshing. And I think that's why it's so powerful, because nobody has the guts to say it.
It's just, I want to go to my kid's soccer game and not answer my phone.
That's not unreasonable.
It's not an unreasonable ask. I want to be able to like a post that resonates with me without thinking about how it's going to impact human resources. Not being able to own your own voice. And I also know leaders that love their position and bask in it, and said, why did you say those? I have to tell you, that's great for you. I'm glad. But this had a real impact on our family. And it continues to have a real impact on our quality of life. When we're talking about moving into our next, we're talking about what retirement looks like for us, or what our next looks like, because neither of us are ready to stop working. We're just exhausted, and we know we will continue working in some capacity, but what will that look like for us? And one of the things that we talk about the most, I hope he doesn't get mad because I say it out loud, I'm sorry, I love you, is it's not that we don't love and feel so privileged for the opportunity to make this kind of impact, but it's that it's costing too much. And we want to be able to visit our grandchild and be part of her life without having to move heaven and earth and take 10 phone calls while we're there. And we want to have a measure of white space in our life that looks like what normal people in normal positions have. It's just costing too much. It's just, there's no margin for us. There's no margin. There's no quality of life, and there is no way to back out of it, because we have tried to slow down. We have tried to start saying no, start being intentional. We've done that. This position requires 150% of yourself. You have to prioritize everyone else but yourself. And unless you're fortunate enough to have the kind of resources that allow you to have 4 or 5 people deep on each level, we're not, Children's Harbor is not that kind of organization. So that article really came from that. It was about, I'm going to tell you what it looks like from this view. You tell me what's important to you. If you want to climb and keep climbing, and you've got 3 kids, and you can afford a nanny, or you can afford to not be present in their life, because this is what it actually means. But you should know what it looks like from here, and then you can make the choice for yourself. Make an informed decision.
Well, I think that's why it's so powerful to write it in the seat, because obviously you love what you do. Obviously you're passionate about the cause and the impact that you're making. That there's no doubt there. But the fact, there's no glamorizing it either.
No.
And I think that's what we're caught up in now, right? Like, it's the glamorization of the chair.
Yeah. No.
And no, it comes with sacrifice.
Yes.
Anything good comes with sacrifice in life, right?
Yes.
So it's just, so it's like a fast forward for people that are, thinking about whatever their version of the chair is, right? It could be symbolic, right? It's not that everyone is a CEO.
I didn't talk. There's no authenticity either. Like, you sit in this chair from the day, and remember, I was COO and then sat in CEO, and everybody changed overnight. Nobody walks into my office and tells me the truth. I have one person. Every single person that I speak to tells me the version of truth that they think I want to hear. That's what I get. And no matter how many times you say, no, I want you to push back. I want you to disagree with me. I want you to say, hey, I think there's a better way. Less than 5% of the people you say that to will actually do it. You're always the problem. You are always the reason why everything sucks. People love to point at their boss and say it's because of her. They feel safe with that. They don't want the buck to stop with them. And that all of those things are part of the package. And so it's low. I hate that cliche. I hate that it's so lonely at the top, and you're like, poor you. It is lonely. It is a level of loneliness that I used to make fun of, that it is lonely. There is no authenticity. There are no genuine, and you can't talk to anybody about how you feel. That is unacceptable. You are supposed to be in control and strong and unmoved.
Right.
And focused, laser focused on where we're going all the time. So there's no one to, and I have Mark, who understands, who truly understands.
I was going to ask that question about the dynamic in the family of husband and wife, both in higher up chairs. What is that like?
For us, I think you would probably get. I know Karen Ross and Michael Ross would be a good interview for this too. There are people who hate or can't even stand the idea of working with their spouse, but we started that way. Mm-hmm. We were competing directors at the organization we were at. So I led one pillar and he led another pillar, for lack of a better word. So we never knew anything other than working together or working towards the same vision. So for us, it's very, very natural to bring it home. It was never an issue. It's kind of odd and tragic that we don't work towards the same vision now, that we're separate. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's a support system, but I would never be arrogant enough to, and we have the same title. We do not have the same position. And even I think my husband leads Kids in Distress. We haven't said the name of the organization. That is a very different organization. It's a $40 million annual budget with over 350 employees. Wow. It is a empire, for lack of a better word. And we are a very niche boutique child welfare organization that is less than $6 million. I have 75 employees. That's a very different position. And I only have three programmatic areas. We're very, very, very niche. I said the word niche, whatever, again. It's very different. I would never be arrogant enough to sit in a room with a board, and there is nobody on this planet. I spent 15 years of my life at Kids in Distress. There is no one on this planet who knows more about this organization, KID, than I do, who has bled for the same organization as Mark currently leads. So nobody is more equipped to sit in his chair when he leaves than I am. And I would never be arrogant enough to say, oh, yeah, I can do that. That is a very complex organization. Just because we have the same title doesn't mean that we have the same position. So I think that's interesting how many people have heard that he's on his way out and they're like, oh, me, I'm next. I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. No, you have 5 people on your team. No.
Not the same.
So it's just the same title, but not the same position.
Right. That's a good distinction.
Can't say he's a mentor. I would say he's more, that being said, he mentors a lot of young leaders, but not me. He's very competitive. So I'll say, can you take a look at this? And he'll be like, sure, 30 seconds. And I'm like, could you help me? Nope, no help. It's like you're gonna rise or fall on your own. He's very, very, he has a lot of boundaries in place for what we discuss, what we don't discuss. We talk more, I would say, subjectively about peopling than the logistics of the position. Did that answer your question or did I ramble?
Yeah. No. Look, working in a business with family is complex.
Yeah. Yes.
Two powerful positions coming home is complex. All of it is complex.
Sometimes I'll say, don't speak to me like I'm your, right. I work for you.
Like I not. Yeah. Like
don't use your kid voice. I'll say,
I haven't met him yet, but
he's wickedly handsome.
I was going to say,
he is. He's so cute.
I was going to say that he has to be tough because you're tough.
He is.
So
he's the nice guy. It's
the
so
dynamic
funny.
at home has to, it has to be.
He's all American apple pie, everybody's big brother. He's got a great brand of that protective sort of presence. And so everyone's like, oh, he's so nice. Oh, he's so kind. Oh, he is hard to work for.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then they look at me and they say, oh, she must be difficult to work for. I am a total pushover. You ask the teams. He is hard to be like, sorry you feel that way, but you're not meeting your outcomes. And I'm like, it's okay. Try again. Come back on Monday. It's like a totally different, but yeah, he's he's a boss.
And so from a husband and wife perspective, what advice would you give someone, to like, do you guys have like hats off work? It's husband and wife time. Like we're humans.
We never get to turn off on the business conversation, on the work conversation. It's just part of our life. But I would say there needs to be a leader. Submission's not a popular conversation, right, in our world. But in your home, there needs to be a leader. There's not room for 2.
So many chefs in the kitchen.
That's right. So, I mean, there are boundaries in place as far as our own organizations. He will speak into, if I ask him, he will speak into a situation, but there is no, you have to do it this way. It's like he'll speak into it, and then it's just, this is my feedback, take it or leave it. In our home, he is the leader of our home. And even though I'm very capable and run my own organization, if we're not going to spend on an expenditure because he doesn't agree with it. We don't spend on it. I will speak into it. Mr. Dhooge does not budge.
Mr. Dhooge.
Mr. Dhooge is absolutely will make a decision, and Armageddon itself could roll in over our home, and he does not budge. He is immovable in his conviction. So I can speak into it, lay my case out as to why I would like to move forward with this. If he doesn't agree, we're not doing it. And I have made the decision. Can I move forward? Yes, I can move forward. Will I move forward? No. No. So I do believe there has to be a leader in your home. And otherwise it's the recipe for disaster. And there has to be that mutual respect. And I do have that. He treats me like a peer. He treats me as if I am his equal, because I am his equal. And so I don't ever feel...
That's amazing. That's really the sauce, right? Because he's got the power in his secular life, and you give him the submission,
the respect,
right? But even submit, like, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Oh my goodness, you have to be careful.
I don't see that as a bad thing. I personally don't see that as a bad thing. But I think the fact that he doesn't abuse it is why it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, he's also... I know nobody really asks me this. You've asked me some questions a lot of people don't ask me.
Well, good. I'm glad.
He is the embodiment of, he really is my best friend, but he's also the embodiment of everything I think a leader should be. So I don't fake respect. From the moment that I met him, I knew that he was going to be the next CEO of the organization, but he is the living embodiment of what I believe leadership should be. So that respect is not fake. That is, it's weird to be married to somebody who is your ideal as a mentor, as well as your ideal as a man and a partner. So he really is my best friend.
I love that.
And there is no one that I can think of that I respect more professionally. And he has had no privilege. He came from nothing. He grew up in a town with less than, I mean, it is the tiniest thing. There's one gas station up in upstate Michigan. He had nothing. They had nothing. And everything he's ever accomplished. And when he doesn't have he was told by so many board members, I'm going to get in trouble for that. You don't have the pedigree to be a CEO. And even though so many reasons why he should have been the natural leader, he really, really, really struggled for many, many years leading up to the position, in the position, to accomplish and to move towards his vision. So, I mean, it's not like it was handed to him.
And that's respectable.
Yeah.
So I love that. I can't wait to meet him. I haven't met him yet. One last question for you. What is the best piece of advice that you can give someone, whether they want to be a board member for a nonprofit, whether it's someone that wants the chair of a nonprofit, someone that wants to volunteer there, anything in that nonprofit space. If you want to make an impact with your time, with your money, with your development of a career, whatever, in that space.
I think we'll allow somebody who wants to be in the chair, because we've talked about that a lot. For a board member, that's an interesting, I believe that good leadership is able to identify their own gap areas and to surround themselves with people who are smarter than them to fill in those gap areas. So if you have been identified by a leader for a nonprofit board, don't get drunk on your title. Boy, that's come up quite a bit. You're a board member. Your job is to serve the organization, not to lead it. You hire and fire the CEO, and you lend your expertise in the area that you have been asked to serve in. If that's finance, finance is an easy one for me because I can work my way around a finance committee, obviously, or the financials of the organization, but I'm not a CPA. I'm not a tax law expert. I don't know anything really about investments, nor do I care to learn. I've got enough.
Right.
But I need experts in those areas so that the organization can scale, so that we can reach the sustainability that's in line with the strategic plan. And so I've surrounded myself, I've beefed up that with experts in those areas because I'm leaning on you for your expertise. I do not need you to speak into programs. I don't need you to speak into people that I lead. I don't need you to help us plan events.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Don't get drunk on your title. You are not so many board members. I lead. You lead nothing. You know what the CEO has told you in the hour that you spend each month with the board. You know what the CEO, that is so important to understand because a lot of my peers are not transparent. And they say, why do you tell your board that much? One of the number one feedback points from my board members is how transparent. I don't have time to read 36 pages because I am transparent. What we do is a lot of liability because of the demographic that we serve, and they deserve to know everything, every bullet point, what happens. I tell them everything so that they can be fully informed. But other organizations don't do that. Don't fool yourself. You do not lead anything. The team at that organization, the CEO and her executive team or his executive team is leading that organization, and you know what they want you to know. You know how your CEO has packaged that information. Don't get drunk on yourself.
Right.
Stay in your lane.
I like that.
It's
a team sport being on a board.
Yes.
You're not the captain of the ship.
No.
Yeah.
But if you brought in other, I'm sure there are other viewpoints about that, about how nonprofit CEOs get too big for their britches. Yeah. Because they're bleeding. They're the ones bleeding for the organization. You show up once a month for an hour, maybe two, if you're on a committee. Was that ugly?
That's good.
Not an ugly way to end.
No,
Was I
it's
too
not.
harsh?
No. Tell everybody where they
I
can.
just ruled out a lot of board members who are like, I'm not going to be on that board.
Good.
She's mouthy.
Don't waste your time or the organization's time.
Love you.
Tell everybody I love you. Thank you. Thank you for. You may think it's a lot. I think it's refreshing. I think it's encouraging to see someone do what you do authentically.
Thank you.
And I hope that you continue to do it as long as it makes you happy, and then you find what's next and whatever makes you happy, because you're going to crush it there.
I'm going to be your podcast editor.
Well,
That'd be so fun. The podcast, you're like, no. Right now, he's like, delete.
Cutting her off. No. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Me personally, at Tiffani Dhoogi on LinkedIn and everywhere.
And we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. But the organization is children'sharbor.org website or Children's Harbor Inc. There are 2 Children's Harbors.
Oh boy.
There's one like in Iowa or something.
Oh gosh. No, well, we want the Florida one.
The Florida one.
We'll put it in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your patience. For getting on, and we appreciate your time, and we'll definitely link everything in the comments. If you want to affiliate yourself with an organization, consider Children's Harbor. They do incredible work here locally. It's a local nonprofit to us here in South Florida that is really making a huge impact. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
All right. Till next time.